There was a time when every home stayed spotless, not because people had more hours, but because they treated care as part of living. Homes weren't polished for show, they breathed order because people moved with rhythm. That rhythm wasn't fast or fancy, it was deliberate. A chair was straightened as you passed, a dish wiped before it dried, a space tended before it ever turned into a pile. The kind of rhythm our grandmothers had, quiet, steady, purposeful. And one woman, Martha Reset Granny Caldwell, still keeps that spirit alive. At 72, she believes the secret isn't more storage bins or minimalism trends. She smiles and says, "Clutter isn't about too much stuff. It's about forgetting how to live simply, how to move through your home with respect." Today, we're rediscovering her 7 old-school tricks, practical little rituals that kept homes calm before decluttering was even a word. They aren't about throwing things away, they're about remembering why we kept them in the first place. They've carried Martha through 4 decades in the same cozy house, proof that the old ways still work when the heart behind them is strong. Before we go on, if this already feels like coming home, tap like and hit that new hype button. YouTube added it so senior voices like yours can rise again, and every hype helps these timeless habits reach others who still believe a well-loved home is a beautiful one. Trick 1. The Apron Pocket Rule. If it wouldn't fit in your apron pocket, it doesn't belong on the counter. That's what Martha's mother always said, and decades later, it's still the golden rule that keeps her home calm, organized, and peaceful. Martha smiles when she says it, remembering how her mother would tie that faded cotton apron every morning like a daily promise. The pocket wasn't fashion, it was purpose. It held the essentials of her day, a folded note, a handkerchief, a button waiting to be sewn, maybe a peppermint for a visiting grandchild. Nothing extra, nothing idle. That small pocket set the rhythm of her home. The secret behind this old rule is simple: your pocket defined your priorities. If it didn't fit, it didn't matter. And that quiet standard shaped homes that ran with grace instead of clutter. There were no endless piles, no catch-all drawers, just a steady habit of choosing usefulness over excess. To bring this back into your own life, take a small bowl, basket, or even a fabric pouch and call it your apron pocket. As you move through your home, fill it with the tiny things that scatter your peace: keys, coins, receipts, pens, hair clips, batteries, random notes. Pick each one up and ask yourself, would I carry this with me all day? If not, it's time to put it where it truly belongs or let it go altogether. This habit turns decision-making into touch. It's not about sorting for hours, it's about choosing in motion. Martha says, when I use my apron pocket, I feel like I'm back in step with my home again. It's the act of moving that matters, the gentle walk, the reach, the return of each item to its rightful place. You're not just cleaning, you're creating order with your hands, the way our mothers and grandmothers once did without thinking. When you finish, empty your pocket bowl onto a clean towel and look at what's inside. You'll see a snapshot of your habits, duplicates, neglected bits, things kept just in case. That's your clutter story told in one small pile. Seeing it all together helps you decide what truly deserves to stay. The beauty of this trick is how quickly it restores rhythm. The very next morning, your counters will breathe again. You'll notice open space, light, and calm returning where there used to be static and stuff. That's how homes used to feel, not showroom perfect, but peaceful because every item had earned its place. The Apron Pocket Rule reminds you that simplicity isn't about having less, it's about living with what serves you. It's about dignity in the daily details, about remembering that care and order are forms of love. Try it tonight. Take your pocket, walk a slow circle around your room, and start gathering. You'll be surprised how much peace fits into something so small. What's one thing you always kept in your apron or pocket years ago? Maybe a thimble, a note, or a peppermint for a child. Share it in the comments. We'd love to hear the tiny treasures that once carried the rhythm of your days. Trick 2. The ironing board method. Flat surfaces should rest like an ironing board, clear, ready, and waiting. That's what Martha remembers hearing nearly every week when she was a young girl, watching her mother iron shirts by the window while the afternoon light slid across the kitchen floor. The ironing board was the heart of that house, always ready, never cluttered. It stood in the corner like a symbol of discipline and care, a reminder that every surface had a purpose, and purpose required space. Martha laughs softly when she recalls those days. If you couldn't set an iron on it, her mother used to say, you'd lost your system. And she meant it. The rule wasn't about perfection, it was about readiness. It meant that if the board was clear, so was your mind. The moment it became a storage shelf for yesterday's laundry or tomorrow's mail, the rhythm of the home started to slip. Martha carried that wisdom with her. Even now, she looks around her living room and instinctively clears one table before doing anything else. When that surface is clean, she says, the room breathes again. To use this old rule in your own home, pick one flat surface in every room, a dresser, a side table, a countertop, and treat it like your personal ironing board. Nothing stays on it unless it's in use. When you're done with a meal, a project, or the mail, return the space to its ready state. The goal isn't spotless perfection, it's maintaining that sense of readiness that older generations lived by. When a home feels ready, life feels manageable. This small act changes more than the look of a room, it changes its energy. The human eye relaxes when it meets a clear surface, and the brain interprets that as safety, control, calm. It's the same feeling our mothers felt when they folded the last shirt, turned off the iron, and looked around at their finished work. There was quiet satisfaction there, a sense of being caught up, if only for a moment. For seen as today, that satisfaction can still be reclaimed. Martha says that when she clears her sideboard at the end of each day, she's not just tidying up, she's giving herself permission to rest. A cluttered table nags at you even when you're sitting down, she says. A clear one tells you it's okay to stop. Try it tonight. Choose one surface in your home and restore it to readiness. Wipe it clean, smooth it with your hand, and take a second to feel the difference. Tomorrow morning, when you walk into that room, notice how your eyes find that space first. You'll see what Martha means, it anchors the room. Once you experience that small piece, you'll start protecting it naturally. It becomes contagious. One clear table often leads to another, and before long, your home starts to hum with quiet order again. The ironing board method isn't just about cleaning, it's about learning to love readiness again. It's about giving your surroundings permission to rest so that you can too. That's why Martha says, you don't have to clear the world, just one flat surface at a time. When it's ready, so are you. Trick 3. The bread box principle. If it doesn't belong near bread, it doesn't belong in the kitchen. Martha says this rule shaped her entire idea of home. She remembers standing on tiptoe as a child, watching her mother lift the smooth lid of that old wooden bread box, the kind that always smelled faintly of yeast, linen, and morning. It wasn't just for bread, it was a quiet measure of order. The bread box defined what deserved to live on the counter and what didn't. Around it, you'd find only the tools of daily life: the flour tin, the tea caddy, the sugar bowl, a spoon resting on a folded napkin. No clutter, no extras, no decorations pretending to have purpose. Everything there earned its space by use. Martha says, we didn't need rules about minimalism. The bread box was the rule. It taught practicality with heart. If something didn't belong near the essentials of nourishment, it didn't belong within sight. And even though times have changed, that quiet, grounded principle still works better than any organizing system sold today. To use it now, pick one meaningful object in every room, your lamp, your teapot, your radio, your favorite chair, and let it become that room's bread box. Ask yourself, what truly belongs around it? What supports its purpose? If it's your reading chair, maybe a small side table and a book. If it's your kitchen counter, maybe your kettle and 2 mugs. Everything else, move it away or let it go. The bread box principle organizes by purpose, not category. Instead of forcing things into storage bins or buying new containers, you're teaching your home to function like it used to, naturally, instinctively, gracefully. This method helps you see each room as a living space, not a storage space. Martha often tells her grandchildren, a home is meant to serve your life, not to hold your leftovers. When you choose one anchor per room and clear its surroundings, something powerful happens. The space begins to feel lighter and more alive. You no longer have to search for peace, it shows up the moment you walk in. And you'll notice something else too, memories start to breathe again. That teapot by itself on the counter will remind you of morning conversations. The lamp on the clear table will feel like an invitation to sit and read again. Order isn't about control, it's about rediscovering what matters. Martha says that's what the bread box taught her. When you respect the simple things, they reward you with calm. Try it this week. Pick one small area, your kitchen counter, your nightstand, or your entryway table, and give it the bread box treatment. Choose one object that truly represents its purpose, clear away what doesn't serve it, and watch how quickly the energy shifts. There's no rush, no perfection to chase, just intention. When homes were built around bread boxes, they weren't chasing beauty. They were chasing balance. That's what this trick brings back. So the next time you feel your space closing in, think of that wooden box with its quiet lid and gentle scent. Let it remind you that peace doesn't come from having less, it comes from keeping what belongs. Trick 4, the curtain pull test. If you'd hide it when company drives up, it doesn't belong there. In Martha's house, mornings have always started the same way, with the sound of rings sliding across a curtain rod and sunlight spilling softly into the room. She calls it her favorite kind of truth. For as long as she can remember, pulling those curtains has been her quiet test of pride and peace. When I open the curtains, she says, I want the first thing that light touches to make me smile. It's not about impressing anyone, it's about honesty. In her mother's time, this small gesture meant the household was ready for the day. Curtains opened to fresh air and light were a silent announcement that life was in order. The curtain pull test revives that sense of dignity, not as performance, but as a personal promise. When Martha opens her curtains, she doesn't rush to clean. She looks, really looks. The sunlight tells her what needs attention. Maybe it lands on a dusty shelf, a cluttered table, or a pile of things she's stopped noticing. Sunlight doesn't lie, she says. It gently shows you what you've forgotten to love. That's what makes this old habit so powerful. It uses nature's light as a guide, not a critic. To bring this ritual back, start each morning by opening your curtains and pausing. Watch where the light falls first. Don't rush to move anything, just notice what that beam of light reveals. If it lands on something that feels heavy, neglected, or simply out of place, fix that spot before the day moves on. One space at a time, one honest moment at a time, your home will begin to transform. There's something deeply symbolic about it. The morning light catches corners the eye has long ignored. It softens judgment, replacing the harshness of I should with the gentleness of I can. It helps you see your home not as a list of chores, but as a living space that deserves light and love. Martha says that when she was younger, her mother would pull the curtains and hum while she did it. That soft sound filled the room before anyone else woke up. It wasn't about the song, it was about the feeling of welcoming the day, no matter what had happened yesterday. A home with open curtains, her mother used to say, is a home that's brave enough to be seen. The curtain pull test isn't just visual, it's emotional. It helps you face your space with kindness instead of criticism. Each morning becomes a small act of courage, a way to start the day with truth instead of denial. For seniors, this is especially powerful. As light changes through the seasons, it reflects back the rhythm of your life, what's been kept, what's been loved, and what's ready to let go. Try it for a week. Each day, open your curtains and notice how your light moves. You might find certain corners growing calmer as clutter disappears. Or maybe you'll rediscover something meaningful, a photo, a plant, a chair, and give it space to shine again. When sunlight falls on something beautiful, it reminds you that peace is still possible. And when it falls on something cluttered, it offers the same message in another way. There's still time to make it right. Tomorrow morning, when you pull those curtains, ask yourself one quiet question. Does this light make me proud, or does it call me to act? That's the power of the curtain pull test. Try it tomorrow. What's the first thing your light hits? Tell us below. Trick 5. The handkerchief swap. For every comfort you keep, release one you no longer use. Martha calls this her rule of gentle fairness. It's a quiet echo of how her parents lived. Steady, modest, content. Back then, no one needed endless shelves of things to feel secure. They had two of what they loved, one for today, one for tomorrow. Two handkerchiefs, one folded neatly in the pocket, one washed and hanging on the line. That was enough. The rule wasn't about scarcity, it was about rhythm. It meant that life moved in balance, that for every item serving a purpose, another one rested. Martha still follows that same pattern in her home. If I add something cozy, she says, something else leaves. That's fairness. It's not punishment, it's gratitude in motion. She believes that keeping balance between what you welcome in and what you release is the real secret to a peaceful home. It's not the absence of things, it's the presence of choice. To try this in your own space, start small. Choose one category of comfort: mugs, blankets, sweaters, pillows, candles, and apply the handkerchief rule. If you bring in a new one, release another that's no longer being used. If you open a new blanket, pass one along to someone who'll use it. If you receive a gift mug, donate one from the back of your cabinet. Each trade keeps your surroundings comfortable without allowing them to grow crowded. It's not about downsizing, it's about right-sizing. Martha says that with age comes the understanding that peace doesn't live in more, it lives in enough. When you practice this kind of gentle exchange, you'll notice something beautiful happen: appreciation returns. You start noticing the warmth of the blanket you kept, the softness of the cardigan that stayed, the joy in the mug you actually use every morning. By curating instead of accumulating, you turn possessions back into pleasures. Martha remembers how her mother would quietly swap things without anyone noticing. A new tablecloth meant an older one went to a neighbor. A new winter scarf meant another became a rag for polishing furniture. It wasn't waste, Martha says. It was grace. The handkerchief swap restores that graceful rhythm to modern life. It stops the silent guilt that often hides behind comfort. We keep too much, thinking it's sentiment, when really it's hesitation. This trick invites you to honor what comfort truly is: a living feeling, not a stored one. The first few times, it might feel strange. Letting go of things that still look fine but no longer serve you can feel like betrayal. But as Martha likes to remind herself, objects don't love us back, they simply remind us to love. So let them move on and serve someone else. That's the heart of the handkerchief swap. It's generosity disguised as simplicity. Try it this week. Pick one small comfort you've been holding on to, an old throw, a mug, a cushion, and trade it out for something you actually use or enjoy. Feel the release, not as loss, but as balance returning. Your home doesn't shrink when you let go, it breathes. And in that space, gratitude grows. What's one comfort you could swap this week? Comment it below. Maybe your idea will inspire someone else to find the same graceful balance that kept our grandparents' homes so effortlessly peaceful. Trick 6. The radio hour routine. Tidy for the length of one favorite radio show, then stop. Martha says this was the rhythm that shaped her childhood. Back then, time wasn't counted in hours and minutes, it was measured in music and voices. The hum of the radio told the household what came next: breakfast, chores, rest. When the program ended, she says, so did the cleaning. We didn't chase perfection, we chased completion. Her mother didn't own a clock in every room. She had the radio, a steady friend that carried the family through daily routines. On Saturday mornings, the sound of the announcer's voice meant laundry and sweeping. The moment the closing jingle played, everyone stopped, even if a corner remained undone. That gentle final note became the day's permission to rest. Martha still follows the same rhythm. You don't need a timer, she says with a smile. Just a tune. To bring this practice into your own home, pick one show, podcast, or playlist that makes you feel warm and connected. It could be an old radio drama, a classical hour, a familiar gospel program, or even your favorite 60s playlist. Play it once each day while you clean or declutter. The key isn't to finish everything, it's to create a routine that starts and ends with joy. When the last note fades, stop completely. Leave the remaining tasks for tomorrow. This simple boundary makes cleaning feel lighter because it connects effort with enjoyment instead of exhaustion. Martha believes the rhythm of sound changes how we work. Music kept us company, she says. It filled the silence that would have made chores feel lonely. There's something deeply grounding about this method. It shifts the focus from how much I got done to how good this hour felt. For seniors, especially, The radio hour routine offers both structure and companionship. It brings back the gentle tempo of life before digital noise took over, when a familiar melody could carry an entire household through the morning. Try it this way: pick a room or a task, washing dishes, folding clothes, dusting shelves, and begin when the show begins. Let the music set the pace. You'll find yourself smiling at certain songs, maybe even humming along, as your hands move almost without thought. When the program ends, resist the urge to keep going. Sit down with a cup of tea, let the quiet settle, and notice how your mood has lifted. The act of stopping is part of the method. It teaches you to associate order with contentment, not fatigue. Over time, this creates a rhythm your body remembers. You might even find yourself tidying a little more easily each day, eager for the next broadcast. Martha says, it's not just about getting things done. It's about turning care into music. The radio hour routine reminds us that productivity isn't the goal, peace is. Let your home move to a tempo that suits your soul, not your calendar. And remember, the best work often happens between melodies. What show or song did your parents play while cleaning? Let's fill the comments with memories that once kept the world turning in harmony. Trick 7. The Teacup Ceremony. End your cleaning with a cup, not a checklist. That's the rule Martha lives by now, though she didn't always understand its wisdom. For years, she'd rush from one task to the next, chasing that endless sense of almost done. But it never came. There was always another drawer, another dish, another thing waiting. Then one afternoon, after wiping down her kitchen counter, she remembered her mother's old ritual. Her mother never ended a day with a to-do list, she ended it with a teacup. No matter how busy the day had been, she'd pour herself a small cup, sit near the window, and just stop. Martha watched her do it countless times and realized that moment was what gave their home its stillness. That's how I know I've done enough, Martha says now. The tea seals the peace. It's such a simple idea, yet it changes everything. Most of us finish cleaning and immediately think of what we didn't get to, the pile in the corner, the closet we avoided. But the Teacup Ceremony teaches you to close each cleaning moment with calm, not criticism. It's not just about drinking tea, it's about drawing a gentle line that says, for today, this is enough. Here's how to bring it back into your life. When you finish tidying, no matter how small the job, make yourself a cup of tea or coffee. Sit somewhere with light, a bit of quiet, and the space you just refreshed. Don't reach for your phone, don't write a new list, just breathe. Notice the scent of the room, the feel of the chair, the small hum of satisfaction that always follows care. This pause teaches your mind to associate cleaning with contentment instead of exhaustion. It's a psychological reset, and over time, it changes your entire relationship with your home. You begin to see tidying as nurturing, not endless effort. Martha says the tea is a kind of punctuation mark, the closing line to a chapter of effort. When I sip that first drink, she says, the house feels like it exhales with me. She swears that's what her mother's home always had, a sense of finished peace. No frenzy, no guilt, no endless striving. Just care, followed by rest. The Teacup Ceremony also serves as a quiet moment of reflection. As you sit, you might notice small details you missed, the way light hits the freshly cleared table, or how a once cluttered shelf now feels alive again. It's in those pauses that gratitude sneaks in. You'll find yourself whispering, I did well today, without needing anyone else to say it. For seniors, this habit is even more meaningful. It provides rhythm to days that can otherwise feel scattered. It's a ritual that celebrates completion rather than chasing perfection. It's not about earning rest, it's about allowing it. Try it tonight. When you finish your evening tasks, make your favorite drink, find your quiet corner, and just be. Don't rush to fold the blanket again or check one more drawer. Let your home rest with you. Feel the calm spreading through the space you just tended. That's what the women before us knew so well, that peace isn't found in what's spotless, but in what's settled. The Teacup Ceremony turns housework into a rhythm of care and closure, reminding you that every act of maintenance deserves its own moment of grace. So end your next tidy up the old-fashioned way, with a cup, not a checklist, and let the warmth in your hands remind you that you, too, have done enough for today. These aren't hacks, they're habits. quiet, humble, and wiser than any gadget. The world may have changed, but homes still crave rhythm, the kind our elders lived by every single day. Martha often says that these old ways aren't just about keeping things neat, they're about keeping life meaningful. Every trick she shared, from the apron pocket to the teacup, is really a story about how to live with care. They came from a time when people didn't clean for appearances but for peace. A time when homes weren't perfect, yet somehow always felt right. When Martha looks around her own home now, she says she can feel the echoes of her mother's steps in every tidy corner and polished surface. That's what rhythm does. It connects generations without needing words. It reminds us that care, done daily and quietly, is its own kind of love story. These old habits teach something the modern world keeps forgetting. A home isn't a museum to maintain, it's a living place to nurture. A clear table isn't just decoration, it's an invitation to sit, talk, and share a meal. An open curtain isn't about sunlight, it's about welcoming the world. A warm teacup at the end of the day isn't a pause, it's a promise that peace is still possible in the midst of noise. Maybe that's why these methods endure. They ask nothing new from us, only that we remember what once worked. That we return to a simpler way of being, one that values balance over busyness, presence over perfection. When you think back, you'll realize that these tricks weren't tricks at all. They were quiet philosophies, passed through generations of hands that believed in effort, honesty, and grace. And they still work because they honor something universal, the human need for order that feels alive, not rigid. For seniors, especially, this wisdom carries weight. It's a reminder that the years behind us aren't just memories, they're lessons we can still use. Every small act of care, every tidy surface, every cleared space whispers back, you're still capable of creating peace. The world outside might feel faster, louder, more crowded than ever, but within your walls, you can still choose rhythm. You can still live by the gentle pulse that guided the homes that raised you. And maybe, in keeping those habits alive, you're not just preserving your own comfort, you're passing something precious on to those who'll come after. So take these habits with you. Use them, share them, let them shape the tone of your days. Let them remind you that the old ways weren't slow, they were steady, and steady always wins. If this reminded you of your mother, grandmother, or even your own early days, hit like, tap hype, and subscribe to Wise Aging Seniors. Share it with someone who still remembers aprons, bread boxes, or cleaning to the radio. Because sometimes, the best way forward is to go beautifully back.